How's it going, everyone? Today, I'm going to talk about something that someone on my post asked about, and that's whether they should be buying single-family homes or multifamily homes in the city of Austin, Texas. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. So in this episode, it won't be a long one, but I do want to talk about some investment strategy in the market of Austin. Now, in a previous episode, I talked about why I think there's going to be 30 to 40% appreciation. And if you want to check that one out, you'll see the link above. And ultimately, that appreciation I mentioned should happen in the next 3 to 4 years. And it's, again, that video goes through all the reasons I think that's going to happen, if not more, but it's also about product type. And so I did want to commit to responding to that comment and talk about if it's going to happen in multifamily, if it's going to happen in single family, okay? And so I think it's important before we get started to understand that single family and multifamily operate completely different when it comes to performance and appreciation. One, I get a lot of people tell me, should I buy a fourplex? Should I buy a duplex versus a single family? And from my experience buying fourplexes and duplexes and single families in bigger buildings, what I have learned is there is something called economies of scale in multifamily at a certain point, but it doesn't really happen at 4 units. It tends to happen at 15, 20 plus units and above, right? For example, if you have a 4-unit building, the roof, right, if it goes bad, to repair a roof, it's going to cost between $20,000 to $40,000. Now, on a per unit basis, that's $10,000 or more. Now, when you compare that to a single family home, a new roof on a single family home is between $4,000 to $6,000. So your per unit cost on a fourplex is actually higher than a single family. And keep in mind, there are other costs in multifamily, such as pest control. You usually have code that requires you to have a 5th, outlet to the building or a 5th water line. All these things cost extra money. You have to take care of the landscape. You have to take care of the snow removal if you are in a place that snows. And there's a variety of other costs that come with owning a multifamily that, if you buy bigger, are not as material in the overall cash flow and performance. But they are substantial if you're buying a smaller multifamily. So first, I want you to know that. Now, when you look at what appreciation is, right? In single family, appreciation does not derive itself from rent, right? It derives itself from what the market deems the property to be worth. So in my last video, when I mentioned, the 10% or more annually appreciation on a single family home, that's coming because people are putting more demand on the single family product. Okay, now, conversely, if you look at that in multifamily's appreciation has really not too much to do with perceived value. Sometimes it does, but ultimately what it comes down to is cash flow and rent performance. And right now in the city of Austin, when you look at rent to value ratios and you look at where the rent is versus the cost, it's pretty unbalanced. I think one would argue that in multifamily, the rents are far behind the price appreciation. And that usually is what happens. Rents tend to lag behind the price appreciation. So we're probably 2 to 3 years out from seeing rents catch up to price. So when someone asks me, should I buy multifamily in Austin? I'd argue no. The cap rates are 3 to 5%. You might cash flow a little bit, but not so much. I think you're probably too levered unless you plan to hold a multifamily for many years. Even then, I can't guarantee it's a good investment. So what I'm doing is I'm not buying condos. HOAs in Austin are fairly high. I'm not buying multifamilies. I'm buying single family homes between $185,000 and $250,000 that have a rent to value ratio of 0.75 and above, right? So if a $100,000 property is renting for $1,000 a month, that's a 1.0 or a 1% rent to value ratio. You will cash flow in the city of Austin so long as your rent to value ratio is a 0.75 to 0.75 and above, okay? So that's what I'm doing. I did want to commit to the viewer who commented and let you know that's what I'm doing in the city of Austin.